No Kuni 2! Studio Ghibli! Anime! Hayao Miyazaki! Let's go! Dude, this game is great. When I first heard about it, or noticed it, or saw it, it was a surprise. Like, when you've played games like your whole life since a kid, you've watched anime, especially Studio Ghibli movies. When I first saw this game, I was like, what the heck? This exists? Really? No way. And eventually, you don't get really surprised. Like, there's a game for everything. But this game, I was like, no Dude, are you kidding me? And what's funny is that No Kuni itself has actually been around for a while. But when I first noticed it, I was shocked. Because you're so used to seeing it on screen as in a movie format, and up until not that long ago, there was still, unfortunately, it's kind of over now, but there's still movies being directed or written or artwork or whatever it was by Hayao. I think the last movie he fully participated in was... It was a while ago. And I think his son's actually working on stuff now, something like that. It's a weird thing, but... Between, like, stuff like that and... around when I first played this game and... It was weird. It was like a really good time for Miyazaki stuff. I think everyone goes through that time when, like, they're rewatching these movies. Maybe it's been a while. Maybe it never really stopped. It just depends on who you are. But, like, as the movies were still coming out, as these games were coming, I don't know, it's really cool. Like, there's still... Studio Ghibli's still very relevant, but you cannot beat that old school stuff. I'm sorry, you just can't. They're all good, they really are, but... Man, the classic stuff really hits differently. I have a Studio Ghibli tattoo. I mean, that's how much I like it. Like, I never had a bunch of merch or, like, anything like that, but yeah. I like it so much where I put it on me, you know? It's one of those things that stuck to me for so long and is with me for so long. I love all his movies. There's a couple I don't really care for much, but I mean, between all of them, generally like 80% of them, 90? There's like literally like 2 movies that I just don't really care for, but yeah, I mean, that's pretty good for what's available. And there's a lot more than people might think too, because there's such big ones, and then there's the ones that are kind of just there and kind of filler, I suppose. This game is definitely for someone like me. And it's for someone who just likes this art style, this story format, this pacing, this vibe. the formula that they've come up with, because like all their stuff's about the same. They're all different, sure, like on the surface, but really it's about being a kid, it's about growing up, it's about being a dreamer, imagination, being taken away to a better place. And it's hard, you know, maybe it's about parents and hardships and pressure and family, friends, relationships, even love, young love especially. It's so magical and whew, it's really good. Like it's too good. It shouldn't even be a thing. It's too good for its own good. But with that said, this game, it's literally a way to watch a Ghibli film, but you get to play it. It's interactive. It's so good. It's so perfect. I mean, as soon as I saw this game, I had to get it. And you are not gonna know about it until you either stumble upon it, like it's in the sales section. Because, like, who thinks of that, right? Like, a Studio Ghibli video game. It's unheard of. No one thinks that. And it's one of those weird games, too, because it has so much to compete with, like, compared to just regular original games that are out there. This is, like, the only reason why someone might play this is because of the fact that it is a Ghibli game. Other than that, it's a pretty... It could be seen very easily, I imagine, as just another generic fantasy game. Because you look at the game cover, you might not think twice about it unless you're like, oh, this is a Ghibli game. Oh, you recognize that art style. It's a very familiar art style. It is so unique and special, like no one else does it. I realize there's like a G-Kids thing out there as well, which is very similar. But you can tell it's a little different in its own way. But yeah, you're just not really gonna notice otherwise. Or, yeah, like, okay, from a trailer, from a leak, from a review. Maybe word of mouth. It's got a really dedicated fan base because people are so worried about playing so many other things and have been for a long time. They might not notice this game. They might not even know it exists. This is definitely a good game to show off, and for those who don't know, please know about it because, like, there's a great chance that you like Studio Ghibli. Especially if you're a Western kid, with how correlated this franchise is with us, these games these movies we grow up on. Most of us have. For those who don't like anime, I am so sorry for you, but like, if you like it, if you like anime in general, you would have seen this easily. But I will admit, it's kind of a hidden gem. Like, I realize some people live under a rock, hermit mode. I've been there. And it's unfortunate because you watch the world really pass by you. Like, whether it's a TV series, games, movies. And as far as games goes, this really flew under the radar for me, and it's like one of those better late than never things. It's not so much I wish I knew about it, you know, as soon as possible, because there's no regrets. Like, the fact that I was able to play it and participate, experience it at all, is a blessing. the whole time I was playing this, I was just super blown away. I was like really into it. It was kind of bad. Cause I have phases where I actually watch these movies. Maybe I rewatch them, maybe I have them on in the background. But there's never gonna be a time like when you first watch these, or when you watch them with a friend, maybe, right? They're like super special to you in that way, because it's like a thing you've shared together. And I haven't done that in a while. So playing, it's like, you know, this game kind of, or this Ghibli stuff just like comes at me at random times. It's like a good reminder of like, hey, don't forget you had through everything, you had a cool childhood. You got to watch these movies. You had a good time. You got your brain going. It warms your heart. And that's a lot of the message that these games and movies try to send to you, is that, you know, don't forget who you are. Don't forget where you came from. And I'm pretty good at that, but sometimes it is nice to have that little reminder, like, hey, you know, at one point in time, ever since this animation made it into my life, I feel like it's been something that's actually supported me and helped me get through a lot of the very things that these stories portray. Like, I was never really into like fairy tales, or like pretty minorly actually, or not even like cartoons per se. I mean, they were there, sure, but I never really looked at them quite the same as like animation, like actual anime, like real legitimate anime. So this was the stuff that was there for me. It wasn't even so much like old cartoons, like they were there and I let them into my life, sure. And it's not like I was only like, ooh, anime only, you know. I wasn't like stubborn like that, but it's this stuff that stood out to me much more, and speak to me so much more clearly, told me what I needed to hear. I felt what I needed to feel. I heard what I needed to hear. Like it just I saw what I needed to see. Like, it hit all my senses, like super hard. But yeah, I'm glad I'm just glad this was there for me, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Probably the most enjoyable part of this game, surprise, was the cutscenes.
We'll be arriving shortly, Mr. President.
What in the world?
Because it was the closest thing to the show, to the movies, specifically. So, like, every time a cutscene came on, I was like, I was all there. That's when you really got to kind of just sit back for a minute, relax. And, of course, this is a Japanese game, so there's, like, in-game cutscenes, there's, like, dialogue cutscenes, there's, like, 3-4 different types of cutscenes. And there are cutscenes that do literally look just like the real animated movie style. Like, that's the kind of production they put into this game, which is pretty common. There's, like, if something's based off of maybe not an anime directly, like, obviously No Kuni is its own thing. There's no Well, actually, to be fair, as of right now, there is a No Kuni movie on Netflix, but it has like nothing to do with this game either. Ni no Kuni is a brand, I would say, at this point. Like each of their stories are kind of different. So this one's all like its own thing. So basically each depiction of Ni no Kuni that I've seen and experienced, they are different, which is kind of weird. But I kind of like that too, because either way, it's still its own thing, even if like it's not all directly, or maybe they are actually, if you think about it, but they are kind of its own package. So that's pretty cool. They could have granted made it like a sequel, continuation, something like that. But I like the direction they chose. They made it unique because it does have to not only compete with other games, but it has to stand out enough to be what it is, to be a full game. I don't know if they could have done something like this with the movies that they have. Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle, Totoro, My Neighbor Totoro, Kiki's Delivery Service, I mean, blah blah blah. So, Princess Mononoke. Because granted, I think something like that could have been done. There's definitely enough source material there to make a game out of those things. Probably pretty easily. But instead they're like, well, unfortunately, I think they're actually really smart, because there are some people who just hate anime games, which drives me crazy, but this was cool because it was like, hey, it's Studio Ghibli, but it's its own thing too, so it's a little bit more respectable in that way. It's not just like a direct, you know, anime to game kind of thing. So that's cool. I'm glad they did that. I actually needed that because, you know, I was shocked when I found this game. I was surprised. If it was, obviously, if it had a more popular movie tied to it, I probably would have noticed it a lot sooner. But I mean, hey. And what also helps with how I found it too was the title, Ni no Kuni. There are a lot of Japanese stuff out there that has like "re" in it, or these kind of phrases or terms, or in this case "ni," or "no," or whatever. More likely "no." Like they'll kind of put like a Japanese word and then "no" and then another Japanese word in it. So it's like a fairly common term. So that alone stood out to me too, is that, you know, if they're, I don't really go for animes that have that in it, like the whole "no" thing or "re," but the stuff I've come across that has that in it, it's probably more than likely good, or at least one or two of them or something. So like, just the phrasing alone, the title of the game, the artwork, and not even just the artwork on its own is fantastic. The fact that it's Studio Ghibli is another thing. Like the design, the color palette, like it's all there. It's brilliant. And even when I was getting a refresher of this game recently, I was actually surprised that that how close I was looking at this game to like actual childhood fairy tales or cartoons. Like I was really comparing it to The Secret of Nim. I was comparing it to like some Disney stuff, right? And obviously Disney has some kind of a hand in all this. In a way, it's complicated. Or Rikki Tikki Tavi. Just like the animals. There's a lot of animals involved, which is kind of cool. It really takes you out of that human element. Like it wouldn't be a Ghibli thing if it didn't. Animals are they love their nature, and you know, it's very second nature to the studio is animals, and how much the support and love they show animals enough to where they put so much of that into their work, which is great. I mean, dude, these guys are geniuses. Everyone loves animals. You can't go wrong. People are gonna be like biased towards it probably because of that. Like, they give you so many reasons to be interested in the show and to like it and want it, play it, watch it, see it. So yeah, I mean, it's a game for anime lovers, Studio Ghibli specifically, games, the movies, everything about it, everything tied to it. All it could take is, even if you're a casual Ghibli fan, which I mean, I don't know, define casual, but it could just be someone that's literally gotten like a keychain from a friend or girlfriend or whatever. Like, oh, this is pretty cool, you know, it's a gift. It could be something so small, and maybe this person has no clue on what this is. And maybe they happen to play games too. There you go. You got someone that's gonna literally play this game, and from there, who knows what'll happen. Maybe they'll continue to be a fan. Maybe they'll just drop it off. Who knows? But it's a start. And that's so cool. Like, the fact that they've been able to put out so much throughout the years to get people to like this stuff, because it is so deserved. Like, sometimes I look at franchises and worlds and IPs, license, whatever you want to call it. You know, I think just because something exists and it's made by someone out there in the world, and it just happened to get onto the onto paper and film and TV, blah blah blah, that doesn't mean we have to like it. You know, it's just someone else's random baby that they just happen to put out there into the world, because I have my own imagination, I have my own ideas, I have my own thoughts, and I think for myself, and I think it would have been so cool to make something so similar, not like to this, but my own thing. That's what I would love to support, is that kind of artistic, artsy side of me. So that's why I kind of have to be picky with things out there that I do like, because it's like, well, okay, I'm not doing that. I wish I could be, but I'll still play your stuff. I'll still watch your stuff. Like, unfortunately, that's just kind of my mindset, and I mean, that's whatever. It's a thing, but I don't think about it enough or at all. But the thing with Ghibli, oh God, I put my whole ego aside, and I'm like, I really love this. I don't care if I made it or not, or I want to support whoever made it. I want to support Japan for distributing this and for giving it to us and sharing it with us. The movies, everything. Like, that's what one thing anime is really taught me, is that it's not all about me. You know, there's other people out there that exist in the world. There's other things that exist, and real people with families and friends and feelings, and the fact that someone took it to a point where, well, it's all about Hayo, right? Made it a point to create this giant world just for us that existed in their mind and may exist in an alternate dimension, universe, all that stuff. Like, I have so much respect for that. I will support that so heavily. It's not so much like I want to buy all their stuff, but I will love it, like, unconditionally for as long as I can, for as long as possible. So, yeah. It's really good. Another thing. So, basically, the cutscene stuck out to me the most. But obviously, it's a game. And what they actually did pretty well was the gameplay. The combat, it can be fun. It's a little. It's actually not that bad. It's pretty overwhelming because I haven't touched a lot of games like this, but I've definitely been around. Like, I've played games with a similar style. 3D. There's a lot to it, but it's fun. There's enough variety in there to mix it up quite a bit. Just have a good time with it. But when you're playing a Japanese game, and this is a pretty fair warning to everyone, and it's very common, and it's really easy to kind of grasp and realize, like, yeah. When you're playing games like this, like, it's no joke. Like, they're not gonna hold your hand. It's portrayed for kids, but it's hard. It's complicated. It's very overwhelming. You're gonna have a lot of stuff, a lot of gear, a lot of items, a lot of moves, a lot of weapons, a lot of armor, a lot of choices. That's just their formula. They like to make things complicated. I get it. I'm definitely not complaining. It's a system where I'm willing to learn and to get, and you get the hang of it, just like anything. Once you learn, once you get past it, it's just really nice flow. You know, it's just Japan doing their discipline thing, which is totally fine. In fact, I encourage it. It's games like this where, you know, they're not, I wouldn't say they're really holding your hand. I'm not saying this game's hard either, but it's definitely a self-learning kind of thing where it's not seamless. You have to make your own choices. You have to have good judgment. You have to make good decisions. which is a pretty standard game formula, but you're taking that, a standard game formula, and putting it into this Japanese way of looking at things, which is very all over the place. But you know what? It's worth it, because what do you get out of it? A very well written, very well stylized, very well compressed, very well... I mean, when you're getting anime games, Japanese games, whatever you want to call it, just anything out of Japan, basically, you are getting something very special. And there's a price for it, okay? Nothing's for free. And they make you really realize this with this game. It's such good quality, it's worth everything it has to offer. It's fantastic. The characters, the artwork, the music. Oh, the music. Whew. Just a story. It really takes you away. It's such a nice, different change of pace from other games, because you could be used to playing so many other games so often. Even if you were like an anime-only game or something like that, you play this, it's gonna stand out a lot. And it makes me proud to have participated in playing this and be a part of its community, and I'm pretty proud of it. 'Cause dude, right off the bat, like, you have so much in common. If you can get into it with someone and y'all are sitting there like just drooling over Studio Ghibli material, it's really cool. It's so wholesome. And this game definitely, it's so good. Really makes you feel like a kid again. Nostalgia, memories, good times, simpler times, good vibes, cozy, comfy. It just describes, and there's emotion, there's action, suspense, like everything. It offers so much. I'm so glad I played it. I'm so happy that I beat it and took it as far as I did. Another important note, though, it is very grindy. It can be. It can get really tough too. There's like a lot of endgame. Yeah, I don't know. The beginning starts off very, very simple. But the more you play it, the more you get into it, the more hours you put in. Ooh, especially like back to back, let alone like taking a break from the game and coming back or whatever. But man, you could take it really far. Which I'm not opposed to. It's actually impressive that they were able to take a Ghibli thing and put so much behind it. It's so structured. It's a full-on thing. Like every requirement that it needs to meet to be able to be produced and created as an entire video game, playable, marketable to the open world. It met everything. Like there's nothing missing. It's all there. I just can't express enough love for this. And I think this is a good game for people who kind of need this in their life right now, or maybe just needs a break from like reality and stress and whatever it is. You know, you can play this alongside with your loved one, or I mean like together, just sitting down, whatever, with your friends. It's so good. It's at a tier that's so above just your average kind of anime deal that you just can't go wrong with it. I don't care who you are, where you came from, how old you are. like, no matter who you are, there's something here to be had, and just such a good message to send. And that's important. I believe in it 100%. Yeah, No Kuni 2, Revenant Kingdom. Gosh!